A janitor walks into the command center. He looks Elliot Kane directly in the eye and says 4 words that make everything stop. "I can fix your code." Elliot looks at him and laughs, an actual laugh. You can fix it?" He turns to his engineers, 37 of them, the best minds in technology, all staring at this young man in a janitor's uniform. "I have the best engineers on the planet, the smartest people money can buy, and they are failing. Why would you think an ordinary janitor can fix what they cannot?" The room goes silent. The engineers exchange looks. Some smirk, some look away, uncomfortable. The disrespect is sharp and clear. This is the moment when a billionaire dismisses the person standing right in front of him. The moment when the most powerful man in the room looks at the most invisible person and laughs. But then something unexpected happens. The janitor speaks. The problem isn't in the primary logic layer, it's in the recursive functions, specifically in how the quantum state alignment handles the third-order interactions between the memory buffer and the processing threads. You're getting a cascade failure because the system is trying to resolve contradictory states simultaneously. The room freezes. The engineers stop moving. They exchange real looks now, not smirks, not disrespect, recognition. This janitor just described their exact problem in technical language that most people in this room couldn't even articulate. The fix requires rebuilding the state reconciliation protocol, not rewriting the entire layer. That would take weeks. You need to change how the system prioritizes memory transactions when threads compete for the same quantum gate. Change the priority queue from FIFO to a weighted algorithm based on state consistency. One of the engineers leans toward another and whispers, "He's right. That would actually work." How does a janitor know this? Elliot's face changes. The amusement disappears. The confidence cracks. He's staring at this young man like he just landed from another universe. Because this cleaner, this invisible person he just mocked, understands the Genesis code better than anyone in this room. Elliot's tone completely shifts. His voice becomes sharp, calculating. "How do you know this? Who are you?" The janitor responds simply. "It doesn't matter right now, does it?" He's right. The only thing that matters is one question. Can he do it? Elliot is a master strategist, a billionaire, a man who's built an empire on calculated bets. And right now, his mind is racing. This kid knows more about the Genesis code than anyone on his payroll. But why? Who is he? And more importantly, can he actually fix it? Elliot makes a decision in that moment, a decision born from desperation and arrogance mixed together, a decision that will define everything that comes next. He leans forward. His voice becomes controlled and cold. "You want to prove it? Fine. Here's what's going to happen. You fix this code. You fix this multi-billion-dollar project. Make it run perfectly. No errors, no crashes. You do that by tomorrow morning, and I'll make you a promise right now." He steps closer. His eyes lock with the young man's eyes. "If you fix this, if you actually solve what the best minds in technology could not, you will take half of whatever this launch makes. Half. Do you understand? Billions. You would become a billionaire." The engineers gasp. Some whisper, "This is insane. A janitor, being offered half the profits of the most valuable launch in Titan Tech's history. But I am absolutely certain you won't be able to do it. I'm sure of that. So this conversation will be over, and we can all get back to work." There it is. The moment. Elliot Kane just made a promise he's convinced is impossible. He's betting against this young man because he's absolutely sure he'll fail. It's almost cruel. A billionaire playing a game he thinks he can't lose. A test designed to send this person back to cleaning the floors where he thinks they belong. But the janitor doesn't hesitate. He doesn't look nervous. He doesn't question anything. He just nods. "I'll need access to a terminal." Alone. The engineers file out. Elliot walks past the young man without another word. The command center empties. The screens glow in the darkness. One young man in a janitor's uniform sits alone with millions of lines of code, alone with the problem that broke the best minds money can buy. No team, no backup, no resources, just him and the Genesis code, and approximately 12 hours to either become a billionaire or prove that he was just another dreamer making promises he can't keep? The question nobody is asking yet, the question that will define everything about what's about to happen, is simple. Does this janitor actually have what it takes, or did he just walk into the biggest mistake of his life? Here's what most people don't understand about genius. It doesn't come with a resume. It doesn't have a LinkedIn profile. It doesn't arrive wearing the right suit or carrying the right credentials. And when genius finally shows up, when it walks through your door in a janitor's uniform, most people dismiss it completely. Most people laugh. Most people never give it a second chance. But what if that second chance is the only thing standing between you and total destruction? What if the person you overlooked is the only one who can save you? 12 hours. That's all he has. 12 hours to solve what 37 of the world's best engineers couldn't solve in 2 days. The command center is pitch black, except for the glow of a single monitor. The city below is sleeping. The world doesn't know that in this moment, a young man in a janitor's uniform is sitting at a terminal, holding the fate of a multi-billion-dollar company in his hands. And the work he does in the next 12 hours will prove that the world has been measuring genius all wrong. Leo's fingers hover over the keyboard. He takes a breath. This is it. This is the moment. Not the moment where he shows off his knowledge. Not the moment where he proves something to someone else. This is the moment where he has to prove something to himself. He can actually do this. The Genesis code fills the screen. Millions of lines of code, billions of data transactions, layers upon layers of artificial intelligence architecture that would take most programmers weeks just to understand. But he doesn't look at it with confusion. He doesn't look at it with fear. He looks at it the way a musician looks at a symphony they've never heard, but somehow already know how to play. He starts typing, not frantically, not in panic, methodically, deliberately. His eyes scan the code, searching for something nobody else thought to look for. His hands move with precision. Each keystroke is intentional. Each line he writes is exactly where it needs to be. Here's a question that most people never ask themselves. What if the people you're paying the most to solve your problems are actually the problem? What if their credentials are holding them back instead of helping them? What if pride and expensive education are making them blind to simple truths? He's searching for patterns. Not complicated patterns, simple ones, elegant ones, because that's what he learned from his father. Real solutions aren't about making things more complicated. They're about making them simpler. They're about seeing the fundamental truth that everyone else is too busy to notice. 3:15, 3:30, 3:45. He's been working for nearly an hour now, and something starts to emerge. A pattern, a connection, a relationship between 3 different functions that shouldn't interact, but somehow are. This is it. This is the problem nobody else could see because they were looking for something more complex. At 4 in the morning, he stops typing. He sits back in his chair. His eyes are tired, but his mind is sharp. He's found it. The cascading logic error. The moment when 3 functions collide and create a contradiction that spreads through the entire system like a virus. And he knows exactly how to fix it. But here's the terrifying part. He hasn't actually fixed it yet. He's only identified it. And now comes the moment that separates confidence from overconfidence. Now comes the moment where he has to rewrite the code in a way that fixes the problem without creating new ones. He starts typing again. This time, he's not searching anymore. He's building. He's rewriting the state reconciliation protocol, not the entire thing. That would take weeks. Just the core sections, the critical parts, the places where the logic needs to be rearranged to prevent those 3 functions from colliding. 1 line, 2 lines, 10 lines, 50 lines, 100 lines of new code, each one carefully written, each one tested in his mind before he even types it, each one building toward a solution. And here's what nobody tells you about solving impossible problems. The moment right before the solution appears is the moment when you're most likely to fail. Because doubt creeps in, fear creeps in, the voice that says, maybe you're wrong, maybe you're not smart enough, maybe you should just give up. He doesn't listen to that voice. He keeps typing. 4:30, 4:45, 5 o'clock. The code is being rewritten, the protocol is shifting, logic is rearranging, but he doesn't know if it's going to work. He won't know until he runs the test, until he puts this new code into action and sees if it survives. 5 o'clock. He takes a breath. He's done all he can. The code is rewritten, the fix is in place. Now comes the part he can't control. He runs the test. The Genesis code loads. The system powers up. The new code integrates with the existing systems. The test begins. Transactions flow. Data processes. The quantum states align. The functions interact. And for a moment, just a moment, he thinks he might have failed. The system starts to stress. The cascade begins again. The error pattern emerges. His heart sinks. Because if this doesn't work, if his fix doesn't hold, then he's wasted hours. And he only has a few hours left. But then something shifts. The cascade stops. The contradiction resolves. The system stabilizes, not perfectly yet, but it's holding. It's surviving. The fix is working. Do you realize what just happened? Do you understand the magnitude of this moment? A janitor just solved a critical problem in 2 hours that 37 of the world's best engineers couldn't solve in 2 days. Not by working harder, not by having more resources, but by seeing the problem differently, by thinking about it the way his father taught him to think. But he knows this isn't finished. The initial test passed, but the real test is coming. He needs to run a comprehensive diagnostic. He needs to make sure the fix doesn't create new problems. He needs to verify that the Genesis code can run flawlessly for hours without any errors or crashes. He runs the full diagnostic suite. 2 hours. That's how long the comprehensive test takes. 2 hours of watching the screens, monitoring the code, watching the system run. 2 hours where he can't do anything but wait and hope that his fix is solid. This is the most terrifying part. Because now he's not in control. He's set his fix into motion, and now he's just watching to see if it holds, watching to see if he's actually solved the problem or if he's about to fail spectacularly. 5:15, 5:30, 6 o'clock. The test is running, no errors, no crashes. The system is processing transactions at full capacity. Data is flowing. Everything is working. Everything is holding steady. But what if there's an edge case? What if there's a specific scenario that he didn't account for? What if the fix breaks down under certain conditions? These are the questions that torture him in the darkness. But here's the truth that nobody talks about. The hardest part of solving an impossible problem isn't the solving. It's the waiting. It's the uncertainty. It's the moment when you've done everything you can and all you can do is hope that it's enough. 6:15, 6:30, 6:45. The test is still running, still passing, still perfect. The diagnostic lights are all green. Every function is operating as it should. The Genesis code is stable. The fix is holding. The impossible is becoming possible. But he doesn't celebrate. He doesn't let himself believe it's over. Because in technology, in code, in systems as complex as the Genesis code, there's always one more test. Always one more thing that could go wrong. 6:50. 6:55. The diagnostic completes, every test passes, every function works, every interaction between the systems is flawless. The Genesis code is ready, the fix is complete. It works. He leans back in his chair. For the first time since he sat down, his shoulders relax. He did it. He actually did it. The sun is rising over the city. The night is ending. The command center doors are about to open. In a few minutes, Elliot Kane will walk in, expecting the same failure, the same crisis, the same impossible situation. In a few minutes, the world will change. But he doesn't move. He's staring at the screens, staring at the Genesis code running flawlessly, staring at the proof that he's not invisible anymore, that he's not just a cleaner, that he's something more, that his father's legacy, his father's knowledge, his father's belief in him, it was real. It was true. It was worth something. The command center doors open. Footsteps, voices. Elliot walks in with his team of engineers. They're preparing for another day of crisis, another day of failure. Their faces are dark. Their energy is defeated. They've already mentally prepared themselves for the worst. And then they see it. The screens are stable. The Genesis code is running. All the diagnostic lights are green. All the systems are operating perfectly. The impossible problem is gone. Walking slowly toward the terminal, Elliot's voice is barely a whisper. What? What happened? The code it's perfect. How is it perfect? He stands up. He's been sitting for hours. His legs are shaky. His eyes are bloodshot. His clothes are wrinkled. But there's something else in his expression. There's peace. There's completion. There's a man who has just done the impossible. I fixed it. Just like I said I would. The engineers verify the code. They run their own tests. They check everything. And with every verification, every test, every confirmation, they're realizing something that should be impossible but is absolutely true. A janitor fixed what they could not. Elliot is staring at him with an expression that's impossible to read. There's shock. There's gratitude. There's confusion. There's something else too. Something deeper. Because in this moment, Elliot Kane is realizing that he made a promise to someone he didn't believe in. And that promise is about to cost him something he's never had to give up before, admitting he was wrong. The launch happens at noon. Titan Tech goes live. The Genesis code rolls out globally to millions of users simultaneously. The world holds its breath. The system that was broken, that was impossible, that was going to ruin a billionaire and a company, is now running perfectly. Within minutes, the feedback is pouring in. The Genesis code works. It's revolutionary. It's transformative. The stock market responds immediately. Billions flow in. The launch is a historic success. But the world wants to know something. The media is asking questions. The investors are asking questions. The entire tech world wants one answer. Who fixed it? Who is the genius behind the Genesis code? And when the answer comes out, when the world finds out that a janitor solved an unsolvable problem, everything changes. Not just for him, for everyone, for the entire narrative of what genius looks like and who deserves to have it. The story breaks across every news outlet simultaneously. Janitor fixes billion-dollar code, the hidden genius in the cleaning uniform, how Titan Tech's invisible hero saved the company. Social media explodes. Twitter is trending with his story. Reddit threads are asking the same questions. How does a janitor know more than elite engineers? Where did he learn this? Who is he? The world is obsessed, and Elliot Kane is watching it all happen from his office, knowing that his promise, the promise he made so confidently, so sure that the janitor would fail, is now coming due. Billions of dollars have been made. The Genesis code is a global phenomenon, and half of all those billions belong to a young man who was cleaning floors 2 days ago. Here's a question that stops most people cold. What do you do when someone you underestimated proves they're worth 10,000 times more than you thought? What do you do when someone proves that everything you believed about talent and intelligence was wrong? What do you do when you have to honor a promise you made, believing it would never be called in? Elliot picks up the phone. He makes one call, one simple instruction. Bring him to my office now. He walks into Elliot's office for the first time. The view of the city is stunning. The room is designed to intimidate. Everything about this space screams power and success. But he doesn't look intimidated. He looks calm, like a man who has already faced the biggest moment of his life. Standing by the window, Elliot's back is to him. You did something extraordinary. Do you know that? The young man responds simply. I did what you asked me to do. Elliot turns around. Yes, you did. And now I have to do what I promised. But before I do that, I need to know something. I need to know who you are. Because no ordinary janitor can do what you did. No person who just stumbled into cleaning floors has the knowledge you have. So tell me your story. He looks at Elliot, and in this moment, something shifts. Because he realizes this isn't just about the money anymore. This is about being seen. This is about finally getting to tell the truth about who he is and where his talent comes from. His voice carries emotion as he speaks. I couldn't afford college. My family didn't have money. We didn't have connections. We didn't have anything that the world considers necessary to become successful. But I had something else. I had a father. And as he begins to speak, as he starts to reveal his story, we're about to discover the real reason he was invisible for so long. We're about to understand what brought him to Titan Tech as a janitor. We're about to learn the truth about his father and the legacy that he's been carrying inside him this entire time. The story is about to get bigger, and the stakes are about to become personal. He stands in Elliot's office. The city sprawls beneath them like a kingdom waiting to be conquered, and in this moment, everything is quiet. The excitement has faded. The urgency has passed. What remains is something more powerful than any crisis. What remains is the truth. He takes a breath, and he finally tells his story. But here's what you need to understand before he speaks. What does it take to teach someone genius when you know you won't be there to see them succeed? His voice is steady as he speaks, not angry, not bitter, just honest. My father was a programmer, not just any programmer. He was brilliant. He could look at a problem and see solutions that took other people years to figure out. He taught me everything: code, logic, how to think differently. He said that most people see problems and panic, but real engineers see problems and understand them. My father understood everything. Elliot is listening, really listening. Because now he understands that this isn't just about talent, this is about legacy. This is about a young man who inherited something invisible but infinitely valuable. He died when I was 18. Cancer. He fought it for 2 years, but he knew what was coming. So he spent those 2 years teaching me everything he knew. We worked 16 hours a day sometimes, just him and me and the code. He wanted to make sure that his knowledge didn't die with him. He wanted to make sure that something he built would live on. Through me. And there it is, the reason he was invisible, the reason a genius was cleaning floors. Because without credentials, without a degree, without the right background, the world doesn't see you. The world dismisses you. The world tells you that your knowledge doesn't matter if it doesn't come with a diploma. After he died, I tried to get hired at every tech company I could find. But they all said the same thing. Where did you study? What's your degree? What credentials do you have? And I had nothing. I had knowledge from a dead man and a dream that didn't matter to anyone. So I took the janitor job at Titan Tech. It wasn't the dream job, but it was a job. It was a way to be in the building. I thought maybe someday someone would notice me. Maybe someday I'd get a chance. Elliot is watching this young man, and something fundamental is shifting inside him. Because he's beginning to understand that the promise he made wasn't actually made to a janitor. It was made to the son of a dead programmer. It was made to someone carrying an invisible legacy. It was made to genius that the world refused to see. Elliot walks toward his desk. He sits down. He pulls out a piece of paper, not an email, not a formal document, just a simple piece of paper. He signs it, and he slides it across the desk. This is your share. Half of the Genesis Code's profits, approximately $800 million. The promise I made is honored. He looks at the paper. His hands are shaking. Not from fear, from the weight of what this means. $800 million. That's not just money. That's validation. That's recognition. That's the world finally seeing him. But Elliot isn't finished. Standing up, his voice changes. But I want to offer you something more important than money. I want to offer you something I should have offered from the beginning. I want you to be a co-founder of Titan Tech's innovation division. I want your name on the company. I want the world to know that you, a young man whose father taught him to see differently, are now one of the architects shaping the future of technology. And in this moment, something beautiful happens. The invisible person becomes indispensable. The janitor becomes the co-founder. The person nobody believed in becomes the person everyone will remember. 1 week has passed. The news has spread across every tech publication, every news outlet, every social media platform. Billionaire honors promised to janitor who fixed impossible code. From cleaning floors to co-founder, the Leo story. What we got wrong about talent. But the real transformation isn't in the headlines. The real transformation is happening inside Titan Tech. Because he and Elliot have made a decision together, a decision that changes more than just their lives. He's standing in front of a new division, a division designed to do something radical, something that challenges everything the tech industry believes about talent and credentials and who deserves success. We're starting a new program. We're calling it the Invisible Genius Initiative. And here's what it does. We're going to look for talent everywhere, not just in universities, not just in corporate offices. We're going to find programmers cleaning our buildings. We're going to find engineers driving taxis. We're going to find innovators working in restaurants and stores and warehouses. And we're going to give them a chance. Because if I can fix what the best minds couldn't, then who else is out there? How many other geniuses are we missing? Elliot is standing at the back of the room, watching this young man who was invisible just 2 weeks ago now leading the charge, leading a revolution in how the world sees talent, leading a transformation in who gets to succeed. 3 months have passed. The innovation division has grown, not just in size but in impact. The program has found 17 undiscovered geniuses, 17 people who were invisible, 17 people who had talent that the world refused to see. Some were working as security guards, some were working in food service, some, like him, were cleaning floors. And now they're all working on projects that will shape the future. The Genesis Code continues to revolutionize technology across the globe. Billions of people are using it. Billions of devices are running on it. It's become the foundation of a new era of artificial intelligence. And everyone knows that a janitor fixed it. Everyone knows that he made it possible. But more importantly, everyone knows something else. They know that genius isn't about credentials. Genius isn't about where you studied or who you know. Genius is about seeing differently. Genius is about persistence. Genius is about someone believing in you when the world doesn't. 6 months have passed. They're sitting in the command center, the same place where they met just 6 months ago, the same place where everything changed. They're looking at the screens where the Genesis Code continues to operate flawlessly. Billions of transactions, millions of users, a system that works perfectly because one person saw what 37 others couldn't. Your father would be proud. I want you to know that. What you've accomplished, what you're building, the people you're helping see themselves. He would be so proud. He smiles slightly. He is. I know he is. Because I feel him every day, in the code I write, in the people I help, in this company. He's here. His legacy is here. And that's the real story. That's what this was always about. Not about a billionaire discovering a hidden gem, not about a janitor suddenly becoming rich. It was about legacy. It was about invisible talent finally being seen. It was about the world realizing that genius walks past us every single day, and we're too busy looking in the wrong places to notice. Elliot Kane started this journey thinking he understood what genius looked like. He thought it came with credentials, with expensive education, with visible achievements. But he was wrong, and it cost him almost everything to learn the truth. He started this journey invisible, working in the shadows, waiting for someone to see him, and it took a desperate billionaire and an impossible problem to finally be noticed. But here's the question that should haunt you right now. Here's the question that should keep you thinking long after this video ends. How many geniuses are in your life right now? How many people are you overlooking? How many people are invisible to you because they don't look like what you think success should look like? How many geniuses are cleaning your floors, driving your taxi, serving your food, and you'll never know because you never bothered to see them? And more importantly, what are you going to do about it? Because the world doesn't change when billionaires finally decide to listen. The world changes when ordinary people, when you decide to actually see the people everyone else has dismissed. When you decide that credentials aren't everything. When you decide that a janitor might know more than you think. The question isn't whether he deserved to succeed. Of course he did. The question is, how many geniuses have you already walked past? How many opportunities have you missed because you were looking in the wrong places? Think about that. And then tell me in the comments, who is the genius in your life that you've been overlooking? Who is the person working in the shadows that nobody believes in? Tell me their story. Share with me in the comments below. Because the world needs to know that genius doesn't have a uniform. Talent doesn't have a dress code. And the most important breakthroughs often come from the people we never bothered to see. Leave a comment right now. Don't scroll past this. Actually engage. Tell me who deserves to be seen. Because their story matters. And maybe, just maybe, by sharing it, you'll change someone's life the same way Elliot changed his.